What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Coinbase stock, ticker symbol COIN, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Tuesday, February 27th. Alright guys, Coinbase stock on an absolute tear today, moving of course with Bitcoin's big day. The stock up $27.96 a share, 16.85%. We're going to take a look at this thing across a variety of time frames, get as contextual as possible, and pull out as much bias that we got out of the market today to look ahead to tomorrow, things to watch tomorrow, and some opportunity that we could see repeat that I'm going to be keeping an eye on here. So let's just start here on the 1 minute. What I want to do is start by looking at the after hours. You can see that the stock is up, about $3.50 approximately after hours. Now listen, as you'll hear me say this a lot, I'm covering coin stock every day. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing so for the foreseeable future here. But when you continue to watch these videos, as I hope you do, you'll hear me say all the time, in the after hours, you have to take the movement with a grain of salt. Again, it's up about, $3.46 a share here. But the truth is, after hours movement, the volume is so low that stocks get pushed around easily. So whether it confirms your bias or it's going against your sentiment, you have to take it with a grain of salt. The real test is the open the next day. But, however, that being said, if I'm a bull, I'd prefer to see it up $3.50 in the after hours than down. Because, it is the real price. It's just on low volume, okay? Take it with a grain of salt, but enjoy it. Now, coin moving the way that it did, it was in play today. So I just really quickly want to take a look. You guys know I'm a scalper at heart. Scalp trading is what I do every single day. So just really briefly here on the 1 minute, being that the stock was so in play, I just want to show you guys a few things that I was looking at here. A member of our group actually pointed it out. But the stock was so in play that we were just seeing a tremendous amount of breathe and go setups, a momentum scalpers stock here today. Now, just a quick little example here. Let's just zoom in to earlier in the day here on coin. I just want to show you guys because I'm going to be watching this tomorrow for maybe some repeats here. Now, what I'm always looking for is I'm looking for high volume pullaways and then lower volume pull-ins. Okay, so for example, high volume pullaway, fading volume on the pull-in. And typically, these setups are going to be pull-ins to either the 9 EMA or the 20 EMA. Now, why? Because those are the two by far most popular EMAs utilized by intraday traders and honestly, a lot of scalpers, right? They're all self-fulfilling prophecies. I taught a class all about this today on the primary channel, Roensch Capital. If you'd like to go check that out when you're done here, I encourage you to do so. But if we see coin in play again tomorrow, or really if we see Bitcoin in play and then coin kind of in play by default, I'm going to be watching those kind of setups. And the truth is, for me, over trading is only a problem if you're trading setups that don't have edge. Because the truth is, and I was talking with a Platinum member about this today, the truth is, if there are 20 trades in a single day that have edge, positive expected value in the long term, well then the mathematics say that the statistics say that you should take it every single time, right? That's the mentality of a scalper. But that being said, so just so you guys know what I'm going to be watching here on Coin tomorrow. By the way, if you guys want to come join the private trading room, take a look at that first link in the pinned comment. That being said, let's move on now away from an intraday mentality and take a look, kind of start going through our daily ritual here. Let's move on to the day-to-day mentality, trying to pull out bias and levels to watch that we got today and heading into tomorrow. So you guys know by now, right? What are we looking for here on the 5-minute chart? Well, I'm always looking at the volume profile, and I'm saying, okay, what were the biggest moves that we saw on the day? And was it obvious that a large sample size of the market agreed with that move over the opposite direction? So clearly we got a lot of upside moves here today. And it's pretty obvious here on coin today. You have to understand that contextually speaking, we understand big volume off the open, but especially later on in the day here, you see that we got pullaways to the upside in the stock. And we also got increasing volume on the volume profile. That's a good thing to see. So if you're in chat rooms here tonight, or maybe in our free Discord discussing with somebody, I encourage you to join that up as well. Just check the description for the link there. You can just join instantly for free. Just understand that you're going to see some bulls talking about the volume profile. I would bet you're going to see that here on Coinbase today, because it was pretty obvious in bulls. You know, that's a win. It's one factor of many, but that's a win. Let's move on now. Let's take a look at levels to watch, starting with the 30-minute. Now you can see here the obvious self-fulfilling prophecy levels, the 200 period, the 50 period. We saw a big move today. Those are going to, you know, the 50 period on the 30-minute is going to be the quickest moving average that we're going to be looking at here. But even that's going to take its time when you're up 16.85% in one day. It's a good problem to have, you know, but it could present a problem here in the near future. Bulls, here's what we're looking at tomorrow. I want to see that white line, that 50 period moving average here on the 30-minute chart, curl upside and get as high as possible in as little time as possible. Get as high as possible in one day tomorrow. Get some feet up underneath today's move, act as a potential psychological barrier to the downside, and that would discourage some bears, I would think. Now, bears, what do you guys want to see, right? Well, you want to see ideally the stock flatten out or fall, really, and try to get that 50 period staying as low as possible, as long as possible, to retain that thesis of, hey, you know, the stock's kind of trading on thin air. That's what you're looking for tomorrow here on the 30-minute if you're a bear. Now, let's move on here to the 4-hour chart. You can see here, we have kind of the same deal on the 4-hour. That 50 period is going to take its time. We had a big move here today. So, you know, honestly, guys, the 4-hour to me, it's not super relevant, but what I am watching tomorrow, I just want to see that 50 period move upside as quickly as possible, okay, from a bullish perspective. That being said, let's move on now to the most important chart and not waste any time. The daily. The daily is by far the most important. Okay, this is a crucial chart. Now, this is not going to show after hours movement. You can see, again, it's at 197.40 after hours. This is just going to show the closing price at 193.94. But understand, we're at 197.40. Still taking that with a grain of salt, but understand that is, of course, the real price. Now, the daily chart starts to paint the most obvious picture. What is it? It's really clear to me, guys. We just broke, you know, we had kind of this like range of a top between the high 180s and like the low 190s. It's always going to be a range, right? Well, we kind of broke that now in the after hours. I would say we closed right around that region, at the upper end of that region. But in the after hours, we're now pushing through that. So tomorrow, the story to me is really clear. From a bullish perspective, I would love to just hold 190, but really, my eyes are set on $200 a share. If I'm a bull, if we crack $200 a share, even if we close at $200 and 1 penny, listen, I'm thrilled. Just break 200 and consolidate sideways for the rest of the day, I'd be happy. You know, of course, if you wanted to push higher, fine, whatever. As long as we're through 200, I will be thrilled as a bull here looking ahead to tomorrow. Now, bears, this is what you're looking for. Do not allow 200 to be broken by any means necessary. You want to see 200 act as a hard resistance and a fade off of that on as high as volume as possible. And ideally, you want to get back down below 190. Put some distance between the stock price and $200 a share, which is the obvious psychological level that everybody's looking at. As a bear, you know, you want to discourage the bulls, and that would do so for a lot of bulls, at least in the very short term. Now, implied volatility, just really quick here, if you are trading options or interested in the stability of the stock, we are currently sitting in maybe the mid to slightly higher range, probably more like the mid range compared to the last few months. Just understand, the higher that goes, the higher the risk of potential IV crush for those who own options, and the lower that goes, the more favorable conditions are for most new options buyers looking to purchase contracts. Now, also, as far as the stock is concerned, understand that the higher IV goes, typically you're seeing options traders being a little bit more insecure about the current levels because, you know, they're pricing in more volatility. That's where IV comes from, is the pricing of the different strikes in the chain. And the lower that goes, typically the traders are looking at it as potentially more comfortable at the current price point. Okay. Now, let's take a look. Speaking of options, let's see what the chain bias was today. What were the traders thinking about coin today as we head into tomorrow? How are they positioning themselves? 419,000 total contracts traded. That's a pretty good sample size. 288,000 of those were calls, and 130,000 of those were puts. So on the overall call per ratio, it is heavy to the call side. But get this, look at this. The short-term speculators, that 0 to 20 delta range, very undecided. 72,000 calls, just under 74,000 puts. Incredibly undecided, but then, 21 delta all the way up to 100 delta. You have like a little bit less out of the money, and then at the money, in the money, and deep in the money. All of those leaning heavily to the call side. It's just the short term that's relatively undecided. The very, very short term, right? The very far out of the money, very short term on average contracts. But the rest of them, leaning heavily call side, giving us an overall call per ratio that has a heavy call bias. Hey, if you got value out of this video, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be covering coin every single day here for the foreseeable future. And hey, again, if you want to come trade with me every single day, come join the private trading group, or maybe get some platinum one-on-one coaching at that first link in the pinned comment. Hope to see you join, and I'll see you tomorrow.